Good evening.
Good evening.
Oh, did you hear me?
And Counselor, you are live.
All right, thank you very much and welcome everyone to Northwest Community Council, a special meeting for December the 14th, 2020. Call this meeting to order. And the first order of business, we'll just do a quick roundtable to make sure everyone's video and audio is working. Just look for an audio video check from Councillor Kathy Deagle-Gammon. Are you there?
Yes, Madam Chair, Councillor Kathy Deagle-Gammon.
No. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. For folks who are joining us on the phone, if I could just get everyone to put their phones on mute so that we can just establish a baseline here for audio and video. But if you are on the telephone, please mute your phones right now. Councillor Pam Lovelace.
Good evening, Madam Chair. How are you? Pleased to be here tonight.
Excellent. Good stuff. We can hear you and see you. Great. Councillor Paul Russell, sir.
Hello from Lower Sackville. It's a wonderful day here and looking forward to some flurries tomorrow. Not really, but we're going to get them anyway.
Like it or not, they're on their way.
They're on their way.
Thank you very much, Councillor Russell. And last but not least, Deputy Mayor Tim Altit. Oh, you beyond the mute there, sir.
There you go. I would say glad to be here and happy to send the flurries to Sackville and Middle Sackville.
There we go. Perfect. So staff joining us for the meeting. We have Roxanne, our solicitor. Roxanne, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Beautiful.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Great, thank you. We've got Thea, our principal planner, Thea Langell. You with us?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me correctly?
Perfect. Sounds
Excellent.
good.
Thank you very much.
Another principal planner with us this evening is Maggie Holm. Maggie.
Actually, Maggie may not be with us this evening. I was going to cover off her item for her. That way you only had one principal planner this evening. So.
All right. Fantastic. Shane Vipond, a planner who's joining us this evening, planner 3. Shane.
I'm here. Thank you.
Perfect. And Jennifer Chapman, planner 3 as well.
I'm here as well. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you fine. That's great. Thank you. All right. Well, my work here is done. Time now for the election of chair and vice chair. And I will turn the proceedings over to our legislative assistant who will conduct the election. Andrea?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I will begin the election by opening the floor for nominations for the president for the position of chair.
It's Tim, and I'm happy to nominate Councillor Lisa Blackburn for, Councillor Paul Russell for chair of Northwest Community Council. So move.
I will second that, Councillor Deagle-Gammon.
And I will accept that nomination. Thank you.
And I will second that. All right.
All right. So for procedural purposes, I have to call for any further nominations 3 times. So I will begin that now. Are there any further nominations? For a second time, are there any further nominations? For a third and final time, are there any further nominations? Okay, so I call for the nominations to cease. And I declare that Councillor Paul Russell has been elected chair of the Northwest Community Council.
Awesome. Yay.
Super. Thank you very much, everybody.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you. So at this point, I would call for nominations for vice chair.
I'm happy to this time correctly nominate Councillor Lisa Blackburn.
And I'll second that nomination, Councillor Lovelace.
Thank you. And are there any further nominations? And are there any further nominations? And are there any further nominations for vice chair? And Councillor Blackburn, do you accept?
I do accept. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Then I call for nominations to cease. And am pleased to declare you acclaimed as the Vice Chair of the Northwest Community Council.
Excellent. Thank you very much, everyone.
Yay. So at this point, I would call for a motion to approve the minutes of November 9th, 2020 of the Joint Halifax and West Northwest Community Council 2020.
So moved, Tim. Or Kathy beat me.
And call for a seconder.
Tim?
And all in favor of that?
Aye.
Hi.
All opposed? Super. Thank you. That passes. So we are on to approval of the order of business and approval of additions and deletions.
Mr. Chair, sir.
I was going to jump to the clerk first to ask about any additions or deletions to the agenda first, if you don't mind. Or,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There are no additions or deletions from the clerk's office.
super. Thank you very much. Now over to the committee. Are there any?
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I was just going to suggest that we needed to approve, did we approve both of those minutes at the same time, November 9th and November 26th? Or did we need to extract? Because there are two minutes, the joint Halifax and West meeting, as well as our meeting.
And correct me if I'm
looking.
mistaken, but they were approved in one motion.
Oh, okay, great. Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. Councillor Daigle-Gammon. And you are on mute.
Thank you. In terms of the order of business, I would request that item 11.1, correspondence, and 11.2 petitions be heard before item 10.1.1.
And do we have a seconder for that?
I'll second that.
Super. Thank you. Are there any other changes to the order of business?
Mr. Chair, sir, I would like to put forward a motion that we defer 10.1.1, which is case 19117, due to some late breaking information that has just come to the committee's attention. And I do believe that Shane Vipond has more details on the information that we have just learned.
Councillor, would you mind if we got to 10.1.1 to do that?
Oh, okay.
Although the motion to defer is always in order, I'm just wondering if you would be okay if we got to that before we discuss the deferral.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Thank you. So at this point, we have moved up 11.1 and 11.2. Are there any other changes to the order of business? In that case, could I'm going to call for the vote. All in favor of the amended order of business?
Aye.
All opposed? Beautiful. Thank you. So that carries, and now we have business arising out of the minutes, and I don't see any. Call for declaration of conflict of interest. Hearing none. Call for motions of reconsideration, and there are none. Motions of rescission, and there are none. Consideration of deferred business, and there is none. Notices of tabled matters, and there are none. And we are at hearings, and so we have the public hearing with 10.1, but we have 11.1 correspondence and 11.2 petitions before that. So over to the clerk for any correspondence that we have, please.
Yes, Chair. The clerk's office received various pieces of correspondence in relation to item 10.1.1, and all pieces of correspondence have been circulated to the council.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And 11.2 petitions. And Kathy, you're on mute again.
There I go. Mr. Chair, thank you. So I would like to submit a petition with a signature of 578 residents requesting that the Northwest Community Council reject the proposal for the development of a 525 plus unit high-density residential mobile home park on the lands of that is the subject of application in case 19117.
Okay, thank you very much. And so we have, are there any other petitions first of all? And not seeing any, we're on to item 10.1.1, case 19117, the development agreement, and Councillor Blackburn.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I would like to move that we defer item 10.1.1, case 19117, due to information that has just come forward to the committee, and I will turn things over to Planner Shane Vipon for further explanation and just an overview of the information that we have learned. Shane.
Thank you. And actually, can I have someone second that deferral, please?
Oh, I'll second the deferral.
Thank you. Councillor Lovelace, and over to Shane.
Thank you, Council. Okay, so this file 19117 is for the 525 unit mobile home park. It is a development agreement. The recommendation and staff report were signed and forwarded to Council in May of this year. Last week, we received a letter from the province, Lands and Forests, identifying that the subject property may be the site of an endangered species, the wood turtle, and potentially other species. It's our considered opinion that based on the newness of the information, certainly it wasn't contemplated within the existing recommendation. We think we should be given the opportunity as staff to consider the content of the letter which was distributed to Council within the context of the planning policies that are applicable to the subject property. Right now, we don't understand the legislative applicability or the implications of the provincial legislation as it relates to the subject property. And we don't know what the result will be when applying the lens of this particular provincial legislation to the ultimate future development of this site. So I think it's staff's role to provide informed advice to Council. And in this case, given that we can't do that tonight, it's our intention to seek a deferment of this for a period of 4 months approximately, in order that we might be able to bring back a supplementary report, at least detailing what the implications of this letter is to the proposed development site, and then determine our path forward from there.
Okay, thank you. When you're talking about the deferral of 4 months, that would put it in the middle of April, if I'm not mistaken?
Approximately April Council meeting, potentially.
Okay. I'm going to open it up to any questions from Community Council. Councillor Outhit.
Thank you, Chair. Shane, just wondering, I was expecting, just based on the information that came forward just before the meeting, that there'd be a request for a supplemental report on this information, and that normally that in our referrals that we do put a time limit or say this for supplemental report. I'm just questioning the need for 4 months. I was, in my mind, I had assumed, and obviously I have concerns, so I'm interested in supporting this, and I'm putting this up on the report, but I would think it'd be more along the lines of 2 months. Can you just give me an idea of why you would think 4 months would be required?
Well, thank you for the question, Councillor. So I would suggest that we're dealing with another level of government. There are some. I can hear them. I'm sorry.
So
I think somebody on the phone may not be muted. I'm not sure.
For those who are joining us from the members of public, I would appreciate it if you could keep your phone on mute while we're having the discussions, we will respect your opinions and get to you when we open the public hearing.
So thank you, Mr. Chair. I think what we're talking about are the potential constraints of dealing with another level of government and sort of the issues that they may have with other parts within their level of government. So I know that sounds confusing, but we've been led to believe that there are a number of constraints, potential constraints that need to be resolved, including a potential timeline and remedy if it's possible for this particular issue. So
it just wasn't just something arbitrary. This wasn't just something arbitrary. Then you actually researched into why 4 months might be necessary.
No, it is an estimate. It's simply, the legislation, the administrative order says not more than 6 months. Right. The midway period is 3. The question is, are we going to have adequate time to response with and potentially we could get it done sooner, but we want to make sure we have sufficient time to manage this.
Just in the interest of transparency, I wanted you to address that. Thank you, Shane.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? And for the council members, if you could indicate that in the chat, I would appreciate it. And Councillor Daigle-Gammon.
There. So in terms of the deferral on for this one issue, there are a lot of other issues that probably will arise out of the public hearing and what we've read in terms of responses. Is there any way that during this interim that there could also be consideration about revisiting the water study or the traffic study or the infrastructure and fire supports, things like that that came up in our responses from our residents and our communities?
I believe that would be an amendment to the deferral to add those as criteria to be investigated or to be resolved when this comes back.
And I know that we'll still have a public hearing because you'll do your work. It'll come back in April or sooner if it's done. And so I guess we want to make sure that we still have the public hearing, that we still get to address some of those concerns that our residents have.
We still would have a public hearing, yes.
Okay.
Councillor Redhead.
Thank you, Chair. Just in support of Kathy's comment, or Councillor Gamadiggle's comments, I think that if she's looking for more information and she wants it formalized, which is more than perhaps just asking it when we have a public hearing, let's say in April or May or something. I'm wondering if maybe doing the amendment of the supplemental report request deferral would be good, because that would allow her. I don't think it'd be fair to anybody to then have to defer it again in April or May for information that she would want officially. So I'm just wondering, and Kathy, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but if you have some specific questions you might want to say in addition to for a supplemental report on the concerns with the provincial government, but maybe just outline what other things you want included in that supplemental. Just a suggestion.
Okay. So one of the things that's to revisit the impact that on the water study, the impact on the adjacent subdivision, and what that impact would be in terms of their groundwater, especially as it relates to the request. The water study says that it's for 130, I believe. And so this is going to be a request for approval of 525. So we were just wondering if we could revisit that water study to make sure that there isn't a negative impact on the water table. So that was one thing. And then the other thing that we were looking at is in terms of the traffic study. The developer was going to develop the road to provincial standards and deed it back. And so when the study was done, when they talked about that, did it say, would there be traffic lights? Would there be sidewalks? Would it be a walkable community? those kinds of things. I wondered if they would have been addressed. And so in this 4-month time, if there was a way at least to look at those. And then the other thing was, for example, the police didn't respond to the study. The detachment is in Middle Muscataba, distance away. Halifax Fire is negotiating with East Hants right now. And so I'm not sure where that Halifax Fire response or that response rate is in the agreement with East Hants. So I feel like there's just so many little pieces yet to be made available to us.
Sure. Okay, I appreciate that.
I gave you a lot. I'm sorry.
No, and that's okay. I'm going to hand it over to Thea Langell for a few minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to indicate that there are some matters that, as outlined by the councillor, that we can address through the supplementary report as we're looking at the letter that we just received from Lands and Forests. But what I do want to point out, so it is fresh in council's mind, that the scope of our review has to be within the confines of the policy. So what is the enabling policy that allows us to be considered? That would be the policy criteria that we will have to evaluate those questions that you have identified, council, and how and if they are reasonably consistent with, which is what you see in the staff report. But we do want to have the opportunity to look at a little bit more detail in terms of this more recent information and understand how that may or may not have an impact on staff's recommendation. But some of those matters that you have indicated, council, we may find are outside the scope of the policy. But again, we'll do our best to try to provide you with that advice as we go forward.
So do we need Thea, do we need an amendment to consider the water study and the traffic study and infrastructure and the emergency services, or is that something that we can just look forward to seeing addressed somehow in the report that would come back?
I think what you can do, council, is the council can outline their list and have what it has been outlined by Councillor Deagle-Gammon, and then staff can kind of individually respond to those topics in a report so that you can see how they may or may not connect to the enabling policy.
Okay. And would you need that as an amendment?
I think it would be helpful for the record, though I turn to the clerk's office or even our solicitor as to if that's the case, but I think then it's clear to staff as to what council is seeking some advice on.
Okay, thank you. And so it's Andrea Lilliff, as you would.
Hi, so when it comes to submitting the report request for the supplemental report, I can add Councillor Deagle-Gammon's comments into the section for the request.
Super, thank you. So would you need that as a formal amendment on the request where we work out where we have the intent now and can work out the specific wording later?
I don't need it as a formal amendment.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
May I?
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, thank you. I would also like a little bit to defer to the expertise of my colleagues here on council in terms of that list, whether or not it was expansive enough. I know that you've all graciously read emails from residents and you're more familiar with some of this as well. So I would defer to make sure that that list is a good and complete list.
That matches my understanding of it. Councillor Blackburn and Outhet. Councillor Blackburn is indicating that it is. And I don't see Councillor Outhet, but I believe, and Councillor Lovelace. Yes, there's Tim. Perfect.
The only thing that I will say, Mr. Chair, is the agreement, if there's an MOU or recognition by East Hants as far as providing recreation facilities and activities for this increased population. Certainly, as Councillor Deagle-Gammon has suggested, police and fire and emergency and is definitely needed in support through a supportive relationship with East Hants. But I do think that recreation is also something that we should consider. Thank you.
Thank you. I had missed that from my notes. And so we would like to add a consideration of recreation facilities working in conjunction with East Hants to that list. If there are no further comments, can I have, I guess we're off to a vote.
Excuse me, Chair. Before we vote on the deferral, the deferral should contain the actual date of the proposed meeting, where we don't have the actual meeting schedule set yet. You don't need the actual day, but if you can specify which month of 2021 that it will be, if it will be April.
I believe Shane and Councillor Daigle-Gammon were both looking at 4 months, so that would be the April meeting of the Northwest Community Council.
Thank you.
And please correct me if I'm mistaken. So, all in favor of the deferral to April?
Aye.
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 All
Aye.
opposed? Super. The deferral passes. So with that, the public hearing is also held off until the April meeting. So I would like to thank the 20 people who have signed up to speak at this evening's meeting. We really appreciate your input. We have read the correspondence. We have paid attention to the petition. We have taken your input into consideration when we were looking at this and trying to find a solution for it. Feel free to continue to get in touch with us, and we will have a further discussion about this in the April Community Council meeting. So at this point, we're moving on to 10.2, Variance Imperial hearings, and there are none. Item 11.3, which is presentations. Over to the clerk. I don't think we have any presentations this evening.
No, we don't have any presentations this evening, and I just realized that. Just trying to figure out. Shoot, I missed something on the agenda, and I'm just trying to figure it out. And that would be the, my apologies. I believe it is posted on the online agenda, but for some reason it didn't make it over to the annotated agenda for tonight's meeting. And that is the tabling of the 2020 annual report.
Oh my goodness, you're correct.
So
yes, it is there as item 1.2 in the online agenda.
Yeah. My apologies for that.
So you just need a motion. We're not going to have a presentation, Mr. Chair. You just need a motion that we accept this report and table it, or?
That is correct, because we had, we offered the opportunity for members of the public to register to speak to the report and ask questions, but we had no registered speakers.
And so the motion that I see online, if someone would like to make the motion, is that the Councillor Lovelace, if you have it available.
Yeah, that'd be great. I can't seem to find it at the moment.
Oh, come on. Sorry about that. That the Northwest Community Council accept the 2020 Northwest Community Council annual report as presented. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Happy to second. Happy to second, too.
Thank you, Councillor Othit. Are there any questions or comments on that? Super. In that case, all in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Great, that motion passes. So we are back down to item 12, and that is information items brought forward, and there are none. Item 13.1.1, case 22704, amending the development agreement lands on 4th Street in Bedford. Over to Councillor Othit.
I am here, and thank you. I'm just going to read the motion and to get it on the record here. That, and I've just lost it again. There we go. That I move that Northwest Community Council give notice of motion to consider the proposed amending agreement as set out in attachment A to permit a 27-unit building with attached parking and schedule a public hearing. So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a seconder, please?
Seconded by Lisa.
Super. Thank you, Councillor Blackburn. And over to staff. I believe Jennifer Chapman or Thea. Thea, you might be on mute.
Hi, staff. It's Jennifer Chapman speaking.
There we go.
Sorry, I forgot I was on mute and had my camera off. I don't have a presentation prepared for this first reading, but I'm happy to answer any questions that might come up.
Okay, thank you very much. If there are any questions, please put them in the chat, and I believe I have Councillor Daigle-Gammon first.
Questions?
Okay. Are there any further questions from anybody on the
I have
council?
no questions, Mr. Chair. It's Tim, but obviously Jennifer will be making a full presentation at the hearing. So.
Okay. And if there are no questions at this time, then I'm going to call for the question, and all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Super. Thank you. That motion carries. And we are now on to 13.1.2, proposed 2021 Northwest Community Council meeting schedule. Can I have a motion for that, Councillor Blackburn?
I can move that, Mr. Chair. I move that Northwest Community Council approve the proposed 2021 meeting schedule as outlined in the attachment A of the staff report dated December 8th, 2020. I so move.
Super. And that looked like Councillor Daigle-Gammon seconded it. And are there any questions or comments about that? Don't appear to be any. Okay, in that case, call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And contrary, nay. And that motion passes. And now we're on to 13.1.3, councillor appointments to boards and commissions.
I can make that motion, Mr. Chair, if you like.
Okay, thank you.
Move that the Northwest Community Council, 1, nominate 1 member to the Grants Committee for the term to November 2022, and 2, nominate up to 2 members to the Northwest Planning Advisory Committee for a term to November 2021. So move.
And can I have a seconder, please?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Blackburn.
So,
And we are over to Andrea Lavassie-Wood. Are there any comments from staff?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe that our municipal clerk, Ian McLean, had emailed all of the members emails in order to facilitate the vote for the nomination of councillor members to Grants Committee, and then a separate email nominating 2 members of the Northwest Planning to the Northwest Planning Advisory Committee. We had initially planned to do a survey monkey for this, but unfortunately we weren't able to do that this evening. So we are going to proceed with an email vote. So I would ask everyone we'll deal with the Grants Committee vote first. So if you can open up the email that you received from Ian.
So just on that, I'm sending those emails as we speak.
Okay.
I didn't want to have something to you that you didn't know what it was. So I wanted to make sure you knew what was happening before it hit your inbox. So those will be to you here momentarily.
Perfect.
Thank you, Ian.
And just as a reminder, this is going to be for grants first. And then we're going to do the other committee. When you reply to this email, if you could make sure you reply directly to me, and then we will probably have to take a few seconds just so Andrea and I can be on the same page to make sure that we're doing the math properly.
So are you looking for nominations at this point?
No, the candidates listed in the emails are according to the recommendations in the staff report for 1313, and those were based upon the submissions that councillors made in terms of the requests they made for which committees they wanted to be considered for.
Just on a point of clarification here, if there's only, for example, if there's 2 people in contention for PAC and 2 are required, I don't know why we just don't approve the recommendation. I don't understand why we have to vote via the email.
There's 5 councillors that are interested in the 2 positions for Northwest Planning Advisory Committee. So that's why we require the vote for that.
All right. All right, thank you.
So I'll withdraw my name. Can I withdraw my name from PAC?
Yes, you may. I propose that probably does anybody else want to withdraw their names? Let us know and we could modify the emails accordingly. Otherwise, I'd ask
Still haven't
everyone.
received the emails.
Okay.
Oh, sorry about
You
that.
should have received one related to the Grants Committee where it identified yourself and Councillor Lovelace and myself.
You can blame my typing on that more than anything. They're on the way.
All right.
So all the emails for the Grants Committee should be in your inbox.
Okay.
Again, if you could reply to me, we have 3 individuals who have their names forward for 1 position. So if you can reply with 1 name that you will be putting a vote forward to directly to me, and then we will look at the results when they come in. And I apologize and appreciate you venturing on this process with us.
And I am, before people submit the email, I am happy to withdraw my name from the Grants Committee.
I will as well.
Oh.
Congratulations, Councillor Blackburn.
Yay.
You're still interested.
I am, yes, thank you. Yeah.
Great.
Oh, that's
so at this point, we have 1 name, which is Councillor Blackburn, to be the member on the Grants Committee. And by my recollection, we have 4 members who are interested in Northwest Planning Advisory Committee. They are in no particular order. Myself, Councillor Outhet, Councillor Daigle-Gammon, and Councillor Blackburn.
And I will withdraw my name from that. I didn't realize there was interest in this as much as there was, so I will withdraw my name from that one. Thank you.
Thank you. And Kathy, you're still muted.
So I'm trying to remember that I put my name in for the Northwest Planning Advisory Committee. But may I ask just a point of clarification, because I think that when I put my name forward, it is a good place to learn around the developments and how they happen and all of those kinds of things. So yeah, I'll let my name stand, because the learning curve is a good place to be.
I'm going to let my name stand as well. I've been on it for quite a while, but there are so many things coming forward in Bedford-Wentworth that I really do like to keep my finger in the pie on this. And as Kathy said, it's a good learning experience, but also sometimes gives you a chance to hear what folks are saying and to work with the developers. But if someone else really wants it, fine, but I would like to continue if possible. So just for your consideration.
Okay, in that case,
am I?
In that case, I would like to withdraw my name from Northwest Planning Advisory Committee, and I will crash every meeting that I can.
There goes the neighborhood.
Yes, exactly. So congratulations, Councillor Outhet and Councillor Daigle Gammon for being on the Northwest Planning Advisory Committee. So what we have.
Oh, that'll be great.
Just to pipe out and not to overstep my boundaries on this, Andrea, need to ratify that through a vote at some point in time.
Yes, we do. So we have the motion put forward by Councillor Daigle Gammon and seconded by Councillor Blackburn. So all we need to do is insert the names of the councillors that have been appointed. So Councillor Daigle Gammon, would you like to do that?
Certainly.
Thank you.
So is it that I would nominate Lisa Blackburn to the Grants Committee? Or Lisa?
I would change to that the Northwest Community Council appoint Councillor Lisa Blackburn to the Grants Committee.
That sounds lovely.
And do I have a seconder?
I'll second
Please.
it. I seconded it, Tim.
So do we call for the question, or are we going to do the next one all at once?
I would say we should call for the question and vote for this one, and then we'll move on to the
Okay.
next one.
So all in favor of Councillor Blackburn?
Aye.
Aye.
And all opposed? And congratulations, Councillor Blackburn.
Thank you very much.
Take it for granted now.
That joke doesn't work as well when you take it for Northwest Planning Advisory Council. And So Councillor Daigle Gammon, would you be able to put the other motion forward?
I move that the Northwest Community Council appoint Tim Outhet and Kathy Daigle Gammon to the Northwest Planning Advisory Committee for a term to November 2020.
And can I have a seconder? Councillor Lovelace. Super. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Great. Thank you very much.
Yay.
So we are on to item 13.2.1. Councillor Lovelace.
Thank you. Sorry, I was on mute. That happens all the time. Thank you. I appreciate this opportunity to put forward this motion that Northwest Community Council requests a recommendation report outlining options for amending land use bylaw for the Upper Hammonds Plains designation area with the goal of mitigating conflict between allowable uses in the area. I so move.
And can I have a seconder for that, please?
I'm happy to second.
Councillor Outhet, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. I just have a few words I just wanted to address when it comes to this motion. As many of you know, because you've been to Upper Hammonds Plains, it's a historic African Nova Scotia community. It was first established in 1815 by Black refugees from the War of 1812. And it's one of the first Black communities established in Nova Scotia. For over the last 200 years, the community struggled from social, economic, and racial injustices, including the loss of access to their lake, the Pockwalk Lake, for the recreation and religious ceremony, fighting to access potable water from the water infrastructure that was installed in the area, segregation in schooling until 1967. Loss of their community-funded and community-built fire station, which HRM has just given back this year to the community after it was decommissioned and vacant for 7 years. Upper Hammonds Plains is also the first Canadian community to have an all-Black volunteer fire department. And of course, they did that out of necessity because the other all-white fire stations were not very quick to respond to the community's tragedies. So here we were in the 1990s, right after amalgamation. The community worked with HRM staff to review their zoning and their land use bylaws. And it was determined that they should keep open that zoning for future developments, whatever that future development may be. But unfortunately, this mostly residential community now has to contend with land use that diminishes the value, the character, and the livability for the families who founded this community. So I would appreciate your support in moving this forward. And I know that in speaking with the community, they're looking forward for a solution to mitigate the issues that they have right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Blackburn. And you're on mute.
There we go. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you so very much, Councillor Lovelace, for bringing this forward. This is this sounds too familiar to me, because this is an issue that that we are dealing with in Lucasville. So the mechanism that I've sort of used to deal with this is to go through the updating of the regional plan, and I wonder, is this something that requires, and this might be a question for the clerk's office or maybe Thea, is this something that that requires a recommendation report, or is this something that perhaps could be done through the updating of the regional plan and having the councillor, sit down with planning staff to go over some of those allowable land uses and just sort of, go through what needs updating?
Hi, Council. Would you like me to try to respond to that if you wish?
Yes, please.
Okay. Yes, so Thea Langell. So the motion that Councillor has made, we've provided some support in trying to ensure that that motion covers, I think, the range of what's being wanting staff to look at. I think what you'll see come back is a report that kind of outlines a range of choices that can be made by council at a regional council level. And that could be, there's some small things that we could do quite immediately within the rural team. There may be some other bigger type planning questions that have to be maybe managed through the regional plan. So again, it really kind of depends on the full scope and how far we need to go with that review, but that will be for staff to put together and bring back for council.
And just if I could just follow up, have a follow-up question. I'm just wondering, should I be looking at bringing back a similar motion and just replace Upper Hammonds Plains with Lucasville, or have the conversations that I've had with planning staff with regards to the regional plan sort of set you guys on the path that you need to update things in Lucasville?
I think maybe, Councillor, if you would like, provide me with the opportunity over the next week or so to speak to our regional planning group to see what they are doing with respect to Lucasville, and maybe you and I can chat about that offline after I get some more information.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Lovelace.
Excellent questions. Thank you, Councillor, for bringing that forward. You are right, Lucasville and Upper Hammonds Plains have gone through very similar situations. I think the benefit that Lucasville residents have had is the actual formal boundaries of that community had been recognized, whereas for Upper Hammonds Plains, it's pretty fluid. Depending on which generation you speak to, which community member, which family you speak to. And so overall, it's figuring out that designation area, I think, is really important. And then determining, some clear kind of placemaking signage, as Theo was just saying, is a very quick fix, for example. So those are things that we can do. And I look forward to making those happen. Thank you, Thea.
Okay, thank you. And I'm wondering if there's any further discussion on this motion.
Ready for the question?
Okay, in that case, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Super, that motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, we have a number of in-camera items, but we also have other items that are not in camera, so it would probably be best if we move through the other items and then move back to the in-camera items. So added items, there are none. Notices of motion. And not seeing any. In that case, the date of the next meeting. Gosh, we approved this.
Yeah.
Next year.
Yes. It'll be
Right.
next year, and it will be January 11th, 2021.
Would you like a motion to go in camera, Mr. Chair?
I would like a motion to go in camera, please. And seconded. And what, thank you.
Yep.
What this means, and clerk, please correct me if I'm mistaken, but this means we will leave this room and join the other meeting that is in our calendar.
Right on.
All right. Thank you very much, and we'll see you in the other meeting.
Thanks.
Hi, are you guys there?
Super. It looks like we are all returning to the open session. Thank you.
Tim's back in the in-camera meeting.
Says
Okay,
Tim.
so we have 3 of us here.
Back at the in-camera one.
There we go. Come on, Tim.
And we would also need Councillor Blackburn.
Oh, I thought I saw her in here. Is she gone?
I don't see her.
Ah. All right, calling her as well. Oh, Lisa's here. No. Oh, isn't technology just great?
Does someone
It is. And just a
mind?
reminder that this is being broadcast.
Maybe if someone could just go into the other meeting and just ask them to come back.
I'm actually inviting them into the meeting. I'm just waiting. Teams is just taking a little bit of a time to get them to join.
Maybe we could send the invitation through Zoom.
Nice one, Paul.
Thank you.
I was just looking out my window and seeing all of these lights, and I thought something was
So-
wrong. It's just my train.
Mr. Chair, we do have quorum, and Councillors Blackburn and Deputy Mayor Outfit are in the meeting, I believe.
I don't see Councillor Blackburn yet,
No,
but
she just-
but I do see Councillor Outfit. Okay.
Yep.
Lisa
Thank you,
and
Andrea.
Roxanne and I were in the other one. I don't know where that was. I
Um,
blame
Andrea,
Andrea. She's had one of those days.
Andrea, we don't have the motion in the agenda. If you could develop a motion for us to ratify what we had decided in camera.
Mhm.
And paste it in the chat, please.
I'll let someone else put it forward. I can't, my eyes are shut. I can see all 8 of you though. There's Roxanne, she's back.
See ya, Tim.
We're having a
And
quick
we have Councillor Blackburn. Awesome. So again, we don't have the motions and we are just waiting for them to appear in the chat.
So Paul, you ready for your debut tomorrow?
It should be interesting. Yes, I'm looking forward to it.
You still only get 1 vote though.
Yes, I get that. I get that. Some people would think that's too many.
It's going to be an interesting budget.
Yes, it is. So we have a motion in the chat. And so for 15.1, can I have someone read the, is that complete? Should we not release the staff report, or should we not release it until
Notify.
yeah.
I don't think we usually release the entire staff report, only because it contains
Private
personal
information.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we recommend that we don't release the staff report because it contains private and confidential information.
Okay, that's fair.
We release who won, obviously.
Yes, we
Yes.
released the appointees.
Okay, in that case, could I have someone read the motion for 15.1, please?
I can read it for you, Mr. Chair. And move that the Northwest Community Council ratify their in-camera motion and not release the staff report.
Thank you. Seconder, please.
Second, Tim. Aye.
Thank you, Tim. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Super, that carries. And could I have someone make that motion for 15.2, please?
I can do that, Mr. Chair. I'll move that Northwest Community Council ratify their in-camera motion and not release the staff report.
Thank you. And a seconder, please.
Second.
Councillor Lovelace. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Councillor Outfit. Great. Thank you very much. All in favor? Oh, no. Sorry. All opposed? Sorry. Slipped there.
It's a long day.
It has been a long day. So that carries. And I think we are at a motion to adjourn.
We'll see you all tomorrow morning. Have a good night.
See you
Yes,
tomorrow.
absolutely.
Thank you.
See you all.
And we are-
Thank you so
We
everyone.
stand
much.
adjourned.
Thanks,
Good night,
Roxanne.
All
folks.
right.
Thank
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes,
bye.
thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome, everyone. Happy holidays.
Have a good night. See you soon.
You'll be tired tonight.